Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome to another episode of the Musing with Menchaca show. So this is a conversational podcast where friends usually gather around in this kitchen table, but yeah, that's not happening this time around. It's actually a Skype podcast brought to you by Microsoft. Hey. So so be sure to like the video, give us a thumbs up, share us with your friends, and subscribe for more content. I'm your host, Luis Menchaca, and be a part of the conversation. Comment below with I haven't done this in a long time, by the way. In case you notice, I'm rusty as hell. But yeah, comment below with anything, suggestions for topics, feedback for the show, reactions to anything that's said. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Chocolaka88 and PSN, Nintendo Network, XBL Twitch, all Chocolaka88, all across the board, easy to remember. And you can also find in the description below a link to the podcast audio version of the show. So let's see. I think one last thing, boomchocolaka4@gmail.com if you want to email me for anything long form you want addressed on the show. So joining me today, I got a very special guest who seems to be very, I don't know, buffering or something. You still there with me? Okay, there we go. So joining me, special guest from the Kind of Funny community, Eric Thompson. How are you? Uh-oh. Technical difficulties much? All right, and now with the beauty of editing, we're back. Somehow, we lost our sponsor of Microsoft, and we went to Google.
It had to be done.
It had to be done. I mean, Microsoft, I need to get your shit together. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on with Bill Gates or Phil Spencer, but something's got to go down. Someone's getting fired. Someone's losing their job after this.
You're fired. You're fired.
Donald Trump, yes. So yeah, okay. So we had some technical hiccups, and so we switched over to Google Plus. And so when we're recording, everything seems to be working just fine. But let's go ahead and get back to the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very special guest from the Kind of Funny community. We got Eric Thompson. Hello.
Hello. Yes. I'm so glad to be here today. Musing with Menchaca, indeed. And
Yes.
this is my first podcast appearance anywhere, so I'm very excited to
Wow.
to enter in to this strange mystical podcasting world. But here especially, to talk about extra life, which we're going to get into in a minute, but also just glad with you, to connect with a best friend and to kind of keep expanding the Kind of Funny universe,
Yeah.
the best friends family or whatever.
It's like the
Yeah.
it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with Kind of Funny, is what it is.
It is amazing to me. We have that term, best friends, and I don't know if we really are. And I actually have a really good friend in real life who doesn't like to use that term at all.
Loosely. Or loosely
I
at
think
all,
that
yeah.
I think it freaks her out. Like if she thinks that if she calls someone like a best friend, then she has to like text him every day and coffee once a week. And I understand, and so yeah, it's definitely a term of endearment. But I'm amazed, as time passes and Kind of Funny grows. Kind of Funny proper grows, how indeed it is like a worlds colliding. My wife, she works online at tutor.com, and she tutors in the evenings, and so I get home from work and then I'm watching the kids, and best friend David, he has a Twitch channel, and he plays every night. He's 5 hours ahead of me, 6 hours ahead of you, and so there I am, I'm watching our kids. My wife's working, and I got David on my phone. I'm watching him live stream Metal Gear Solid from Portugal. And I was like, "What's happening? How did we get here?" I just think that's just what an amazing community to open us up to new universes like that. Like you said, it's so awesome, so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, I had that same exact feeling and stuff, especially whenever I was like meeting people like Sean Pitts, meeting Zyger and everyone. It was just as exciting to meet them as it was to meet the guys from Kind of Funny, and I thought that was pretty
yeah.
awesome. That was
Mhm.
but I did hype it too much in my head though. So yeah, I don't know, it's cool. I love it, and
Yeah.
all right, well, let's go ahead and get into it here. So.
Yeah.
There was there's a lot of points I wanted to touch on, but I guess like the very first main thing here is let's go ahead and get some basics out the way. So, how old are you?
Yeah.
And tell me your life story.
Well, I'll answer two birds with one stone.
Okay.
as it were. So I was born in 1984, which
Okay.
means I'm 31.
All right. Good
And
year.
the very short version is I was adopted, which is awesome and very special. And my sister is adopted as well. My sister is from South Korea, I was born in Oregon. And so my parents, they got us, as it were. I guess that's how you say. They adopted us. They got us. And I grew up in Oregon, right on the ocean, in a small, kind of now an antiquated, more of a retirement community, but it's like an antiquated logging community called North Bend Coos Bay, which is the biggest inland harbor between Portland and San Francisco, if that makes any sense at all. You can Google it later.
Okay.
And I grew up there, right by the ocean, in a small little town. And then I went to school in Washington, and then I've worked since then in Washington State and Minnesota and Illinois and Kentucky, and now I live in West Virginia. And the loose term is I'm a music minister, but I work in churches, and I'm a musician by trade. That's where my training is, and that's my day in, day out career. But I do much more than music too, in kind of the church world, working with people, doing pastoral stuff, any number of things there. And so that's my life. I'm married to Tori, and we have two children, Hannah, who's 2, and Daniel, who's just about 3 months old. I think he is. I don't know. I think it's October still, but yeah. So that's kind of my life in a very small little nutshell. Yes,
That is good. I'm like that's way more. It's way more than mine. Mine's much more simple. You know, I'm
Mhm.
just as the simple long short of it is I went to high school. I graduated high school, and I still live with mom and dad. Boom. There you go. Life story is done. Yeah. Hey.
Mine was very similar for a long time. So
Yeah.
don't think that I'm so far ahead or behind. I mean, I just have a couple more years on you.
Yeah. Hopefully,
I get it.
I'm not gonna turn. I don't want to turn 30 anytime soon, but it's coming. So I know that life-changing events are
Yeah.
gonna happen. As a matter of fact, that's. I've been just doing a lot of soul searching a lot lately. So I think I'm gonna start making some moves. I'm loving the opportunity. I'm not really like afraid or anything about it. I'm just more like
Mhm.
excited from the prospects of it, especially with everything I've been doing with the podcasts. I feel like
Mhm.
I've been starting to go down this path where I'm starting to learn more about following passions and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
cliche thing that they talk about, like in the Game Over Greggy show, they always like they had Colin had that topic about words of wisdoms that are like common beliefs, but
Oh,
then
sure.
they're misconceptions. So I thought
Hmm.
that was it's kind of I guess it's cliche in the fact that follow your passion, it'll never lead you astray, and I guess it's true. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think he's right, but there's also that sense of kind of a bit of salt mixed in with it too, right? Because like if you ask someone, "What's your favorite song?" and then they'll give you a song, and then you can ask them, "Well, what was your favorite song 6 months ago, or a year ago, or when you were 15?" And you're asking them, they're asking you, or you're asking them to define your favorite song of all songs of all time, and you just kind of throw them out the window. Well, I like this one. This is my favorite. No, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. And I feel like that's how our passions are sometimes, where we do get locked in, and we're deeply concerned about something, or we're into it, but then we change. We like different things. When I was younger, oh man, I went through so many phases. I was in I mean, we're talking, you know, Ninja Turtles, of course, Batman. I wasn't really a Transformers or a He-Man kid, but always played a lot of video games. Nintendo, SNES, Genesis, Game Gear, Game Boy, all that stuff. Had a really weird phase where I wore black gloves. I don't know what that. I don't even. I think it was a very short one, But
It's like the
I'm still the
inverse of
same.
the Michael Jackson phase, but whatever.
I don't. I don't think it was anything like that. I hope not. But I'm still the same person now, and so I find myself doing that where I mean, I've been thinking about doing more stuff online, like more online content as well. But then I kind of have to come back to that sense, like I think you're probably pondering of, well, what's practical, what's gonna actually put me ahead, what's gonna help me get further in life. And I'd encourage you. I think moving is awesome. Like you heard me list off all those places I've lived. Oh man, I mean, just to be fair, moving's a real bitch too. Like it's awful, but especially, but while you're single and you don't have a lot of stuff, it's so dope. Living in the Seattle area was incredible, and then I lived outside of Chicago, and that was awesome. And so getting to move around and experiencing different cultures, meeting different people, having successes and failures is such an awesome part of life. And so absolutely go for it. If and especially if you feel like you could get in a position or a place where it would increase the yield of your podcast. Yeah, man, that's awesome. That would be super fun.
Yeah, just going to like, cause like I've been basically like living in Texas here for like a long, like all my life really, and I'm not really a well-traveled person. But when I went to San Francisco, my God, it was like the most mind-blowing experience that I've ever had. Like that was just if it was one of those times where you were always told how like the world is such a big place and the world is a small world. Like it's you hear both things, but it was one of
Mhm.
those moments where I was there and I was taking a look at and going sightseeing in San Francisco, and it's like it's one of those moments that I felt in my heart. It's like this world is such a big world, you know.
Absolutely. Did you fly or did you drive?
Oh, I flew, of course.
Yeah,
Driving. I mean, I would have loved to have driven, but
yeah,
I needed to maximize my time with the guys over there. Kind of funny.
absolutely. And that's all I would say is like I've driven across the country twice, and it's just amazing. I mean, on one hand, you're tired and you're like, ugh, you just want to get through it, but then on the other hand, like you realize that the hours are passing and you're in the mountains and then you're in valleys and then you're in farmland and then you're in the city and then you're in the suburbs and then you're in rail yards and you're in agricultural areas, and you're just like, what's happening? I was on a quick story. I'm going to say that a lot. They won't be quick. They won't be quick stories,
All
but I'll
right.
say it. I'll say it a lot. I was on a flight coming back from Fargo, North Dakota, and I was sitting next to this gal who was British. It was two or three of these ladies who were going to a yoga conference in Portland. So here already we have this random ass, these three or four women from London or from England who were traveling to Portland, which was in my home state, to go to a yoga conference, and here I was with them. So big world, small world, I don't know. And they were gonna be like a 15-minute drive to the hotel, but then she said, "Oh, how far is it to where you live?" And I said, "Well, once I get home, it'll be like maybe 4.5 hours to drive home from the airport in Portland to where I lived in North Bend."
Okay.
And she said, 4 hours. And I said, yeah. And she said, you could drive from the north coast of England to the south coast of England in 4 hours, as in their whole country.
Country. Yeah.
And that wasn't even like a quarter of the state, that I was living in. And I had no idea. Like, I think I genuinely did. I mean, who knows how big England is exactly, but you know what I mean? It was such a striking moment. I was like, whoa, the United States is stupid big.
Yeah.
And of course,
I
yeah.
was gonna say like you always hear about that how it's like the countries and stuff where you go to Europe and you're like you can just basically drive to the next country and you don't even know it, kind of or
Oh yeah.
like one of those kind of things, air quotes. But anyways, no, I was told that about Texas, like how big Texas is. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard this saying, this phrase where in most places you measure distance by miles. Oh, you go 2 miles up the road or whatever. But in
Yeah.
Texas, we measure it in time. You
Yep.
drive
Yep.
30
Yep.
minutes down the road or whatever, and
Hmm.
everything is told to you about how long you're supposed to get there by time, and not by the distance it is, because it's just that
I,
big.
yeah. Yeah. It's kind of the same uh, in this part of the country, kind of, but definitely in Texas, I believe it. Those vast. I love country music, especially Western music, like George Strait. Some of the older, like the vintage. None of this, whatever the hell these things
Pop
are
country.
now.
It's pop
Get
country.
out of here
Yeah.
with the, ugh, But George Strait's my man. You know, I've lived a lot of life with him. With like in my guts. And just the way he sings about Amarillo by morning, or does Fort Worth ever cross your mind? Oh my gosh. So I feel like I know Texas a little bit in my heart because of the music, but I would love to visit someday. I have several friends who live in Texas. Absolutely.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Any of them in the Dallas Fort Worth area?
Uh,
I take that as a no. All right.
No, one is in Houston.
Mm, big ass
Where?
population there.
Yeah. Where's A&M? Is that
Oh, it's north of here actually. It's in much more norther. It's like norther. That's not a word. It's about an hour, 2 hours drive going north,
there
and
it is.
yeah.
So you mean 75?
I just kind of, I just kind of proved that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was setting you up for a little bit, but no.
Yeah, no, that's not an hour. I think
Yeah,
it's more like 2 to 3 hours. And I went,
yeah,
I was
sure.
going to Oklahoma, and on the drive to Oklahoma, we had to pass A&M, and it was not that long a drive, but
Yeah,
it was like basically a highway. Just go on the highway and just stay on it until you get there.
yeah. I don't. No, I know someone who lives in Houston. I'll have to check my Facebook. Use that search to figure out who it is. But if I ever visit them, I'll come and see you for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I want to come in general. I want to go to Texas and explore and see what's up. But yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So let's go ahead and I want to put this topic on hold just for the time being, and just
Mhm.
as Greg would say, put a pin in it. So let's go ahead and let's transition away. We'll get back to ourselves.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we've been going in, I don't know, about 15 minutes now. So this will probably be its own breakout topic. We'll do that because
Very good.
I
Very
do
good.
the game over Greggy format where I just break it up topic by topic and stuff.